Aw, animals.
Startup is training crows to pick up cigarette butts. Tired of looking at cigarette butts littering the streets? A Dutch startup might just have the answer. Crows are highly intelligent and are able to make and use tools. Cigarette butts are the most littered item on the planet, with an estimated 4.5 trillion butts thrown away each year. The startup Crowded Cities plans to use the CrowBar, a device with a funnel for cigarette butts and a dispenser, to teach crows to pick up cigarette butts in exchange for food. It trains the crows using a 4-step process. The first step presents food next to a cigarette butt, training the birds to expect food from the machine. Second, the machine only gives out food after the crow arrives. Third, the device only presents a cigarette butt with no food. The crow then starts to look for the food and, in the process, knocks the butt into the funnel, dispensing the food. The fourth step involves removing the cigarette butt, but leaving them scattered around the crowbar. The crow will then start to pick up butts they find and bring them back to the machine. The next step for researchers will be to study how collecting toxic cigarette butts affects the crows. Hey, it beats walking. Dirty old birds show changes in U.S. air pollution. Researchers analyzed the amount of soot on birds in museums from Rust Belt cities to track air pollution in the U.S. over the last 135 years. A new paper shows the discoloration of birds in museum collections can be used to estimate the amount of black carbon air over time. Researchers sampled over 1,000 birds collected over the last 135 years to find out and quantify the effects of soot in the air in Rust Belt cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. To track changes in sootiness, the scientists photographed the birds and measured the light reflected off of them. They found that older birds were dirtier and new birds were cleaner. The team discovered that soot on birds closely tracks the use of coal over time. Researchers also pointed out that even though newer birds are cleaner, it doesn't necessarily mean U.S. air is less polluted. Many of the pollutants released into the atmosphere today aren't as easily tracked as soot.
The battle for North American supremacy. American Eagle versus Canada Goose. Canadian photographer Lisa Bell recently found herself witnessing the majesty of nature up close. Early on the morning of June 3rd, while vacationing on Vancouver Island, she caught the sight of a bald eagle descending upon an unsuspecting Canada goose. Scrambling for her camera, she managed to photograph the remarkable tussle of these two feathered foes. The eagle, maybe a bit too cocky with its catch, left the door open for the goose to duck out from underneath. And the Canuck didn't take the opportunity for granted, making a break for it as fast as his wings could flap. Sensing the water was where he might hold the advantage, he dove into a nearby pond and got himself to safety, minus a few scratches and bruises, no doubt. In instances like these, it matters not who lost the fight, for being able to live to fly another day in the face of certain death is, some would say, the ultimate win. The loser in this case would appear to be the arrogance of the superior fighter, who could only exit the ring knowing he alone let the glory slip through his talons.
Featherless bird gains fame with sweater game, becomes fashionista. A new style icon has emerged, and her name is Javi. Sweaters are her game, sock sweaters to be exact. But all was not always well for this parrot who arrived at the Tallgrass Parrot Sanctuary in Kansas last September. As a result of extreme anxiety, Javi suffers from overpreening, a condition in which birds pluck out all their feathers. When she arrived at the sanctuary, the poor bird was said to have smelled like stale cigarette butts and rotted garbage. The sanctuary rehabilitates more than 30 parrots of all sizes, among other animals suffering from all kinds of conditions. Javi, formerly known as Hobby, was renamed by the sanctuary because the staff feels that no living being should be somebody's hobby.
You are a pretty bird.
Javi was then given a new look by Sock Buddy, a Canadian company that turns ordinary socks into stylish parrot wear. And these bad boys aren't just about fashion. Sock Buddy sweaters help regulate body temperatures for overpreened parrots, helping to prevent poor feather growth and weight loss. From tie-dye to classic white sweaters, Sock Buddy has been Javi's go-to designer. And turns out she's not the only one. Apparently, sweaters are now hot in the bird world. How chic.
Dog saves unconscious bird and pair form incredible bond. A small pet dog spotted a little bird in dire straits, and rather than watch it die, he went in search of help. Diamond, a Jack Russell Terrier, had just come in from a walk with his owner, Gunner. Minutes after Gunner sat down at his computer, Diamond ran over, whining. Not understanding why, Gunner initially waved the pooch off, but the little dog was persistent, and eventually Gunner gave in and followed Diamond to check things out. To his astonishment, lying outside on the floor of their balcony was a tiny bird who appeared to be dead. But when Gunner noticed it blink, he quickly gathered it up and tried to bring it back to life with some water and birdseed. Incredibly, the bird was flapping its wings again in no time, and when Gunner was about to let it go, the bird flew over to Diamond and landed on his head. A show of thanks, if you will. The two shared a few friendly kisses, and Gunner named the bird BB. He then left BB outside to encourage her to return to the wild. Apparently, BB wanted one last sleepover with Diamond, and so Gunner arranged for it. The next day, BB took flight and flew high in the air. Gunner says now, whenever he asks, "Where's BB?" Diamond hops on the couch and looks out the window for his pal. Maybe somewhere outside that window, she's there, keeping an eye on him too.